with me. Come and fly away 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 with me. Don't you be afraid, everything will change. You and I, jumping off the edge. They say dreamers never die, so come and fly, come and fly, come and fly away with me. We're rising, we're falling, we're making through. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views. We're rising, we're falling, we're making through. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views. Somewhere by the emerald sea, where the moon and water meet. Somewhere close to harmony, when the world is sound asleep. Something's gonna bring the change, journeys we are meant to take. Something at the edge of space, calling us to fly away. Don't you be afraid, everything will change. You and I, jumping off the edge. They say dreamers never die, so come and fly, come and fly, come and fly away with me. We're rising, we're falling, we're making through. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views. We're rising, we're falling, we're making through. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views. Come and fly away, come and fly away, come and fly away with me. Come and fly away, come and fly away, come and fly away with me. Something's gonna bring the change, journeys we are meant to take. Something at the edge of space, calling us to fly away.
Good evening, guys, and welcome to what's our third evening of round number 2 here tonight. Static against CyBeRmAn. We're about to get going here on Awoken, but before we do jump into the action, just going to introduce my co-caster here, the one, the only, axtremes. Welcome.
Greetings, Mr. Matt, and everybody on the stream. Good to be here and looking forward to some awesome Quake tonight.
Yes, we have been treated a couple of times. We've had some decent games, even though they've been fairly one-sided in a few situations. Every now and again, we get some glimpses of great Quake, and of course, the closer and closer we get to those LAN finals, the more closely the games are going to be, just by the nature of that elimination bracket. We have got both players here ready and waiting, so if you would like, you are welcome to start the game.
Ooh, do I really want to? I've got the power. Yes. We'll start.
So, Static against CyBeRmAn. Like, the first game that we casted together for this rAge Champions was, in fact, CyBeRmAn. And he was quite impressive. He certainly has the mechanics down. He has good movement to get around the map. And we actually saw him on Awoken, and he absolutely decimated his opponent, Supernova.
Yeah, that he did. Supernova, of course, looked a little bit, shall we say, newer to the game, I'd say. Maybe he got a little bit less hours in the game. And so, of course, he was going to suffer against CyBeRmAn. But CyBeRmAn still showed, as you said, an impressive array of the fundamentals and mechanics that are required. But they are going to be tested to the absolute limit by Static.
Static is certainly going to be testing him, as you said. This is a guy that we witnessed playing at rAge. I had the pleasure of casting at VS with him as well, and he knows a hell of a lot about the game. He's been playing the game for a long time. I can't say the same about CyBeRmAn. I'm not entirely sure how long he's been playing the game for. You can actually go onto their profile and see the amount of playing hours they've got. So I'm gonna go. Oh, you can't look at someone's profile when you're in a lobby. Okay. Regardless, we got the champion draft. Yes, we are. This game's in early access. I'm in early access when it comes to Quake as well, so you're gonna have to deal with that. Ranger, Visor, Galena coming out for CyBeRmAn, fairly standard picks. Then the Death Knight, Galena, and BJ Blazkowicz as the last pick for Static. So some variations in the pick there. I know that Static is a big fan of the Death Knight, a very strong champion, of course, the latest addition to the game.
Yeah, that's actually something we're seeing increasingly as well, because initially when it was introduced, guys tended to shun it pretty much until they'd learnt it, but now that it's sort of entering into the meta, guys are picking it more often.
I mean, it's one of those things in competitive FPS games, I guess in all competitive games, that when something new comes into the game, it'll take a bit longer to adapt to it as the professionals, because quite frankly, you don't want to have to put in the time. Especially considering these guys are a bit older, it may even perturb him a bit more, but he is getting welcomed into the mix, and we are going to jump straight into the matchup here. I'm on CyBeRmAn's perspective, Mike, if you'd like to join me there. And he is starting off on Ranger, gets the heavy, so absolutely standard coming out from him here, and nice and passive play from the get-go here, not flying around the map. Awoken's a small map, you do tend to bump into each other quite a lot, so you don't want to be doing so where you're caught completely off guard.
A lot of players will also try to take, oh, very nice rocket as I said that, and he follows it up with a little chip damage there too. A lot of players will take the position that CyBeRmAn was at there, trying to get the high ground, just holding towards that bit of armor. He's done huge damage. Wow. Catches Static there with a very nice shot from that rocket launch, and he's burning, but he's going to live.
Yeah, I'm sure he's quite happy with that result regardless. First frag on the board going CyBeRmAn's way. This was Static's map pick as well. He's got BJ Blazkowicz to work with, and I mean, that was quite interesting the way that he just dismissed Static's Death Knight so quickly. Static barely able to get any damage out in return.
Oh, very nice rail there as well. He seems to be controlling things well, but almost caught off guard, and he'll get taken down by Static. I thought he maybe had that still.
Oof, I don't know. CyBeRmAn was completely caught off guard there. Static identified the opportunity and took it with both hands. In fact, he's going to try and get a second kill off the Batcher, but it does take quite a lot of damage. CyBeRmAn still taking the fight. He's only got the basic MG to work with. If he had any other gun extremes, I feel like he actually would have won that fight. Both players limping away. CyBeRmAn certainly worse for wear at this point.
Interesting that he was still looking to press home that fight, considering how disadvantageous it was for him. Maybe feeling like, you know, just getting aggressive early on here is going to work for him.
It seemed like it caught Static off guard there. Sorry to interrupt you. It's just Static wasn't prepared for that secondary engagement that came through, and it nearly worked out for him.
Oh, he's gonna get caught off now though. LG comes through. The giblets flying everywhere, just like it's
Oh, man,
payday at
please,
Nando's,
no.
right?
This is not what I want to be envisioning right now. Spare me.
Well, CyBeRmAn started
yeah.
well, didn't he? But,
Yeah, he did start well. Unfortunately, hasn't been the same tune since. Going for the passive game here. That was a nice totem into a rocket combo, doing about 150 damage. So Static had quite a chunky stack, so he's able to sustain that. CyBeRmAn at least contesting these heavies and the megas, not allowing Static to get control over that. Why do we keep seeing the favorites dropping their champions first? Do you think it's this thing where the underdogs are maybe more focused in the initial stages, or that added pressure of being the favorite? Do you think it gets to these guys a bit?
Possibly it could. It's definitely a pressure game considering LAN is on the line here.
Yes, that's a good point. Whoever wins this progresses to Rage Finals. Losers are eliminated.
I do think this will probably be one of our closer matchups in this particular round of the competition. Oh, he just catches a huge shot there in the follow-up. Used the teleporter perfectly to catch the angle.
There is that experience coming through for Static. Great movement and repositioning himself there, catching CyBeRmAn completely off guard. We saw that a couple of times as well. The first frag that Static got where he came through the teleporter and CyBeRmAn wasn't at all prepared for him to pitch up there. If you get caught out by the BJ Blazkowicz dual wield like that, you are going to have a bad time. It's a really difficult skill to attain actually, is trying to disengage once that dual wield does come through. Nice orb use there from CyBeRmAn, but looks like it's actually going to be costing him more than anything. And he gets a re-engage, but again, I'm not sure that this is a fight he wants to be taking.
Yeah, that was almost a very nice bit of skullduggery there for him to get up close, but almost backfired on him completely. Is now hurting a little bit, but they are fairly even on the stack. It's just going to be down to who lands the shot, and we've also going to say, oh, he looks the wrong way, and that's going to be the heavy tech. And
yeah, Static robbing the heavy out from underneath and going to try and use the orb to close the gap. They both of them exchanging rockets, and they're both going to go down.
Well, that got a little bit awkward when they got up close there with the rocket launchers. Both players aware that their counterparts were low, and that's when the pressure is particularly on, and you do feel like you need to land those shots.
Yes.
Sometimes they're going to go awry in those sorts of situations.
I'm going to jump over to Static's POV here, have a look at how he's dealing with this this round number 2 here. He's certainly been the more aggressive of the two. I must say, CyBeRmAn certainly adapting to that playstyle, trying to be a little less predictable, trying to be sneaky, hiding around corners, waiting for Static to push into his vicinity, both of them exchanging some fire, and Static's looking a lot better in this instance. He's catching quite a few nails there. I want to call it the plasma gun, but
I so want to as well. I love that skin, it's fantastic.
I know, it just gives me
nostalgia.
So much nostalgia. It's fantastic. Have you seen the railgun, man? It is beautiful.
I do love what
railgun
they're doing
skin, that is. Sorry. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love what they're doing with cosmetics in the game, bringing in a lot of those retro elements as well. So.
Wow,
ooh, nice bit of movement there.
Really nice.
He managed to slip up there.
He's going to be able to get the heavy as well, and it actually primes CyBeRmAn in a perfect position for that dual wield to come through. As I was saying earlier, it's really difficult to play against the BJ Blazkowicz dual wield if you don't have an escape plan. And if he just locks you in, even if you're able to get return to fire down, he's going to be doing double what you're doing at that point. And I for one, can't speak exactly how to get out of those situations, but I think it's important to bait the dual wield out from the BJ before you take a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's even with the default shotguns, it can be like a deadly combination. CyBeRmAn actually mugs him there for the mega, but it might still go down nonetheless. They're both hurting here. Who's going to land the shots? And the dual wheel comes up, but CyBeRmAn with the rocket up close. He was in danger of suiciding himself there, but he still got it.
I thought for a moment that he was going to be in a bit of trouble with that dual wield about to come off cooldown, but he actually gets enough damage out in time. Needs to be careful here because this is that window of opportunity that Static's going to be looking for after their previous fight. He knows that he barely has any armor to work with, and Static's going to deny him that heavy. Yes, he does go just in time. Going to drop that totem to try and do a bit of extra damage, or potentially heal him, and heals him just in time. And that is going to be the kill.
That is some expert Galena play there.
Yeah.
Boxes him in with the totem and then uses it to his advantage to stay alive.
Yeah.
Knows exactly what to do with the mechanics of the game. The man, you'd think he knows enough to cast, right?
Something tells me that he does.
Being a little facetious there, of course. He knows way more than we do. We're still learning, we'll freely admit.
Learning against each other. Every now and again we play some duels. It gets quite interesting.
I
you
got
and
the
that
rockets,
is,
you
not
got the
Static.
railgun. Yeah.
Yeah, if only we could combine that into one player, that would be great. Maybe we stand a chance against, I don't know, regardless, whatever, who cares. Static, looking for an engagement on his terms, yeah. Actually, getting a little bit disorientated, not ideally tracking CyBeRmAn's position, but CyBeRmAn doesn't have the best timing on the heavy here. That is going to cost him his life. It's so awkward, isn't it, Mike, when you pull up to one of the power-ups and it's not there, you sort of just hope and pray that it's about to spawn. You can rely on that 30-second mark for the second one to respawn, but you don't know exactly when your opponent took it, so you don't know exactly when it's going to be respawning, and you end up waiting 1 or 2 seconds in the open. Might cost you your life.
Absolutely, it's a nice mechanic of the game that you have those two items that force players into engagements. Because can you imagine how much of a stalemate these sorts of matches would be if it weren't for those two items?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it really does separate.
Really
the two
all about
players.
the control.
Yeah. It's not an exaggerated factor in this game, and they're going to end up on top of each other. Looks like Static was prepared for this. He's doing a chunk of damage, and he's going to come out with the kill as well. I'm not sure if he connected with the fire there. Even if he didn't, still had enough damage to come out.
CyBeRmAn is hurting at the moment. He's down 2 champions, and of course, there's the decider around you on a working potentially.
Good. Yeah, I hadn't even picked up on that. This is map point for Static, looking to secure his spot at rAge in style. Good preemptive rockets, unfortunately just missing the mark. He has a couple left here. He's going to have to be careful. You do get some sound cues when you're running out of rockets. The pitch starts to increase, so at least it gives you some sort of a warning.
Well, they can get up close and personal, yeah, and CyBeRmAn destroys him.
No, but Static still got
he
the
killed
kill.
himself.
Dude, there was so much damage that came out from that fire blast, from the Death Knight. That must have been like 150. See, if you trigger it before it reaches its destination, it explodes and it actually does more damage, and not just more, but a lot more.
Exponentially more.
Yes. Looking at the statistics here, neither of the players really connecting on as many rails as they would have liked. Static only firing off 5, so he didn't rely on those too much in that matchup. Certainly going against players who are a little bit more experienced, he's going to need those rail guns or those rails to get some chip damage down.
Yeah, it would have to, considering the close confines of a working. It's not really the end of the world. It could be if we're talking about Molten Falls though, which is the next map.
Yes, that is the next map. A map that you don't tend to run into each other as often. Of course, just by the nature of its size, there is more space between you and your opponent, and that's where the rails tend to come into fruition a little bit more as well. Of course, enabling that distance fighting. Whoever's got the better accuracy, certainly going to be getting a good advantage going into this map.
Yeah, absolutely. Just waiting for the ready ups to come from the players. CyBeRmAn says he's ready to go. Static, we're just
hey, wake up.
Waiting for him quickly, and then we'll get to go. Yeah, we are good to go here. So let's see how the picks come out for Molten Falls. Different map entirely to Awoken, so I'd be interested to see. Geez, I should have had a coffee before this cast.
Oh man, I would love a coffee at this point.
You know where the best coffee in Randburg is, man. You know, you just got to get in the car, bro.
I'm at Empress Palace at the moment, so unfortunately
I don't care about your
accessible.
CSGO coaching exploits. I really don't. Don't make your problem out.
Guys, if anyone is looking for a good cup of coffee, I do advise going to Mike's place. I will be posting his address on Twitter at the end of the game.
Whoa,
be sure to
okay,
go check it out. Make sure you take some hooters and speakers, play some good music. No, regardless, let's get into the game here. We've got the draft coming through. Static with the dominant first map there. CyBeRmAn's going to have to answer back here to keep himself in the tournament. Heading into your opponent's map pick. Oh no, this is actually his map, excuse me. So that's going to give him a little bit of confidence.
The same pick coming out of Static there. Visor in the mix here though for CyBeRmAn. What's he going to go for last? Galena as well.
Yeah.
So slightly different mix here, and Visor is actually pretty powerful on this particular map, especially with the verticality that you've got out in the yard area. So it can actually come, you know, it can come to bear and maybe be potent. It just depends on where, you know, which champion he actually deploys it against.
Yes.
Of course, Visor doesn't really have anything else going for him aside from the essential wall hacks that he has with that piercing sight.
He also doesn't have a speed cap. which can get exploited on a map like Molten Falls, where the corners are really nice and wide. It's quite soft as well, so movement isn't too difficult on this map.
Oh, except when you and I play, we just motivate against walls, right?
Movements, it's just difficult in general. It doesn't really matter. Unless you're Sorlag, because Sorlag actually has movement very similar to the bunny hopping in Counter-Strike. So, maybe we should play her against each other, Mike.
That might feel a little bit more comfortable. Meanwhile, I think Static's probably feeling pretty comfortable about things so far, having taken that first map and firmly in control of the series. But it did get close. It went to that third round, so still in with the shot of CyBeRmAn. This is definitely the most competitive best of 3 we've seen so far in the qualifiers portion. Nice rocket there, and followed up with a good rail as well. Big damage at the moment.
Yeah,
he's in trouble.
Yeah, he's actually getting caught completely off guard there. Not at all keeping track of CyBeRmAn's movements, and he gets caught off. So that Mega now in his sights. He so desperately wants to go for it, does Static, but he knows that it might cost him his life, and CyBeRmAn is going to make his way over there.
Oh my word.
Beautifully baited by Static. To be honest, so many players at our level, or maybe even above us, would have been baited straight into that Mega, but Static, having the discipline with that experience, avoids going directly for it, and yields a kill for him as well as keeping him alive.
Well, the piercing sight's already blocked and used, but it's not going to have given him any advantage, unfortunately. CyBeRmAn runs out of it and then gets just run down, and he's about to go down yet again. The fire comes out from the Death Knight, and that is that of round 1.
Yeah, that was a huge amount of damage output coming through from Static. So again, a great start from CyBeRmAn. Gets Static onto the back foot, but just not able to capitalize, unfortunately.
And that third spawn was brutal as well. It just didn't feel like it gave CyBeRmAn any chance there, showing up in the rail room.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you don't really expect to happen in a game like Quake. Generally, you can rely on the fact that your opponent's going to be spawning somewhere on the opposite side of the map to you.
Yeah, I feel for him on that one. That's not the way you want to start this particular map. But it is his pick, so he's going to be feeling confident on it. They just miss each other there, actually.
Nice rail from Static, as he just had about a pixel to aim at. A CyBeRmAn went from the corner. He's going to sit there waiting for him, but have a look at how much damage comes out. Both of them exchanging fire. I'm not sure if the fire actually does damage over time, because he's immune to flames and lava damage. So I'm not sure if your opponent, if you can take damage from fire from an opposing Death Knight. Maybe one of the more experienced players could just drop a message in chat. That would be great. Enlighten me.
Yeah, I'd actually like to know that as well. I had the same thought as you were saying that.
Regardless, Static, have a look at how small his stack is. He really doesn't have much to work with, just trying to get mobile on the map, and he's going to be able to get the heavy, but when you barely have any health to work with, it's not the best thing in the world. I mean, you can have up to 200 armor. If you only have 10-15 health, you're going to be dying to a shot regardless.
Well, there's the piercing sight, but doesn't have the rail just yet to actually take advantage of it. He's picked it up now, but of course, he wanted to have that in his hand first.
Yeah, too little, too late, I fear. Having a look at Static, he's got great control on both the heavy and the Mega now, timing it perfectly. He's going to just drop down 50 seconds to spawn. He might not even need to. Could be able to end it off right show right now. No, he doesn't connect on the flames, he doesn't connect on the rail, nor the follow-up. So, good opportunity here for CyBeRmAn to try and get away. Static, he wants to finish this in style. Eventually he goes for the easy option, the LG. No one can miss an LG shot.
That was seriously aggressive out of Static there. He knew he was in the driver's seat, so to speak, and he went for it.
Yeah, it's about identifying your opportunity and taking it, but he's going to get another one here. 100 damage rocket coming through. He's looking to potentially get the ring out, but wow, both players taking a ton of damage. Static still looking to potentially continue the onslaughts. In fact, CyBeRmAn is around and waiting, and those rockets are certainly keeping CyBeRmAn on the back foot. In fact, it's going to be the LG to finish it off. So 2-0 in the second map here. Looks like we're going to have another swift 3-0.
It looks like it. It's been a lot quicker out of Static on this particular map. He seems to want to get up close and deal as much damage as possible early the whole time. Whereas on the previous map, we saw a little bit of a slower approach. Still more aggressive, definitely, than CyBeRmAn was on Awoken, but overall Static seeming to feel that he's got an advantage here, and it's showing.
Yeah, certainly is. He is oodling with confidence at the moment, and that the right saying? I feel like it's oozing with confidence.
Oozing, yeah.
Oodling confidence.
Oodling?
I don't know, I've heard that one before.
Japanese yodeling.
I've come across I've come across a lot of interesting words in my casting career, Mike.
You are a wordsmith, you do make things up. So.
Yes, self-proclaimed as well.
Self-proclaimed, that's always how it should be, right?
Exactly, that's what gives it the most credibility. So, looks like Static wants to take some more fights here. I'm going to jump over to CyBeRmAn's perspective and see exactly how he's dealing with this. The piercing side comes through. It's going to be a good opportunity to get the jump onto Static. He needs to be careful. He doesn't get run out. He does get run out of health, but he's going to go straight into the totem. Do you know that if Static had immediately respawned, the totem would have despawned, but he waited 1 or 2 seconds, and that kept it alive. While you waiting for you to respawn with your next champion, I think the totems hang around until then.
200 IQ players, yeah, and using the audio cues for CyBeRmAn as well, so maybe he'll pull out his own 200 IQ play in return.
Yeah, he is on the Galena now, so the potential, unfortunately that's a bit of a nothing totem. Does get a nice rocket though, that's going to stop Static in his tracks.
Yeah, just bouncing him back and making him think twice about potentially taking that engagement.
Yeah.
The room there by Mega as well is quite a choke point. Can take a ton of damage there if you walk through one of those 2 entrances. So not going for it, trying to get the heavy.
Yeah.
We'll actually mug him for it.
Yeah.
What?
That
got a bit close.
That did get a bit close, but I feel like CyBeRmAn's actually taking some really good fights in this round. Not just engaging on Static's terms, and he's also got control over the power-ups, but no amount of stack is going to be able to sustain that damage coming out from Static.
Dual wield LB, so dangerous, and there's the fire, and Static will actually go down. That was fantastically used there.
Really nice use of the ability there from CyBeRmAn, giving Static a bit of a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah, napalms him to the corner there.
Something that Static has been doing quite effectively so far in this game, but now he gets a bit of a taste of his own medicine. So we do finally have CyBeRmAn taking a round here off of Static. Can he get another one down? He's going to have to get off to a good start here. He felt like Static was starting to get a bit overzealous towards the end there, but confident, hanging around a bit longer than he would have usually done, not really respecting his opponent to the utmost.
If you're the better player, you are going to feel like you need to disrespect your opponent, but
yeah.
Is disrespect a good thing when he's landing all that damage? The rail really dropped him low and then follows it up with the ability. And that fire now actually coming to bear really nicely, but he's in trouble.
Yeah, there's that dual wield again. This has just been the downfall of CyBeRmAn. This, every time and time again, this dual wield is just proving to be too much to deal with.
Seems like after he gets the initial frag, the refrag coming in from Static just catches him off so often. He doesn't seem to be able to stay alive and build a stack enough. And that's, we've seen that despite him picking up the Mega and the Heavy respectively in previous refrag attempts.
Yeah, that's true. It's been, I think, a combination of both. CyBeRmAn's pathing around the map hasn't been ideal, but Static's also been shutting down that opportunity by cutting him off. Both champions, or both players with 2 champions remaining. CyBeRmAn's going to spot out that Mega, but unfortunately what he's going to be able to do is land a rail. And I say unfortunately because he would have liked to have done a bit more of that. At least he negates the amount of healing that Static gets by landing the rail. It's always important as well.
Always got to chip away at your opponent and keep him on his toes.
Oof, that was
trying to control that. Yeah, it definitely shaved him.
Yeah, he's trying to control the Heavy. Unfortunately, not having much success. Oh, the ring up through there. He's getting some huge rockets on. Both players are going to be dying. That's the 3rd time we've seen that happen now. Is this match or the 2nd?
Yeah, well, that was actually really well played by CyBeRmAn to just bounce him like that to keep him, you know, in the air there, and obviously use the rockets to drop him down, because that was super close. And normally, of course, they both died, but you'd say in that situation you'd usually give the advantage to the VJ.
Yes, you would. I mean, it's in such close proximity, not ideal for his opponent. Usually we see the combo coming through with the rockets, from a rocket into an LG or maybe a rail. When you have bounced him up, of course, they've got very little choice of direction at that point.
He mugs him.
Yeah, nearly getting forward towards them, but he actually has a good opportunity to maybe catch Static. Oh god, he used his totem to heal himself. He's still alive somehow, is CyBeRmAn? No. Static does get that kill, and he's going to be closing out the match, but I feel like that storyline doesn't, well, the story doesn't give us a perfect indication of how close this game actually was at some points.
Yeah, CyBeRmAn's got some skills, man. I think we're going to see more out of this player for sure in the future, in future Quake Champions tournaments in South Africa. And hopefully for him, he gets a favorable draw next time around. Maybe he can avoid somebody like Static and get a little bit further in the competition. Because, of course, it was a LAN place that was on the line. Static, one of the players expected to get there, but CyBeRmAn certainly gave him a hard time.
Yes, he did indeed. It's always nice when you see players working for their position at rAge finals as well. Not something that you ever want to give to somebody. So we do have our 4th out of 8 finalists at rAge. Just to go through that list, it is Chase, Static, Cyanide, and Adrenaline is our 4th added to that list. So we have got 4 more spots up for grabs.
Yeah, very much up for grabs. I'm actually still just contemplating some of the totem use there on the Galena from Static. He managed to save himself twice there with some extremely fiendish plays. And man's got a big brain, man.
I mean, that 50 health boost is quite often the difference between winning and losing that engagement, and utilizing it very, very efficiently in that matchup. So that is game 1 for the evening done, guys. We do have another game coming up between Void and ScaRy. So we're just going to jump to some music for the interim, and don't go too far. It shouldn't be more than 10 minutes before we go live, get underway with the next game. Go grab yourself a coffee, Mike. I'll try to do the same, and we'll be back with some renewed energy, guys.
to protect your soul.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
swear my music fade games are on point, Mike. This is by just turning the sound down incrementally. That is incredible, isn't it?
DJ Haze is incredible, as am I. I'm not a DJ, but I'm extremes.
Well, you're certainly qualified with audio, that's for sure.
This is true. It's actually I got into esports, funny enough, designing
Yes.
audio systems for broadcasts.
Nice. That's why every broadcast that I work on with you, we've always had incredible Audio Technica headphones. I know that's always been something that you have made sure of, and something that I and the and the spectators appreciate, I'm sure. But getting into something a little bit more relevant, we have got Void up against ScaRy 2K here. This is another one of our round 2 matches of the rAge Champions, powered by MSI and Evetech. Of course, we do have some more newer sponsors on board in Western Digital, Antec, as well as Corsair. So all thanks goes to them. Hopefully, we get another decent game in our hands here.
These two players do seem absolutely up for it, so let's see what we get on a working. That's where
Yes.
we're going first. Next will be Blood Covenant, and if we do actually get to a third,
We
Nah.
we don't know what the third map is until we get to that point. We shouldn't know, quite frankly. Oh,
we shouldn't, but they already discussed it, so yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
just-
they seem to think it's going there, man. So.
it's one of those
And it's
things.
a silent P, by the way. I'm just being
Yes.
facetious.
It is indeed Veil of Nath. How it works is the loser picks the third map. The loser of the second map picks the third map. It just gives them, of course, a little bit of a confidence booster. I'm frozen at the.
They are busy picking on my side, so you have now fallen prey to some kind of bug. This is not good.
Screen, would you mind? Just a game crash. Nothing. Let's get back in a couple of seconds with the help of this SSD. I am restarting my game, but I don't think I'll be able to reconnect to the lobby.
No, unfortunately, with the custom lobbies, I don't think you can reconnect. Unfortunately, so we're gonna have to just kill the game after it starts. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yes, that's as we've noted, one of those things in early access that we don't have all that much control over. I'm loading back into the game though, so it shouldn't be too long. Have you ended that lobby?
Still waiting for it to actually load into the map.
Okay, yeah.
then If I
Something
can
that I
actually kill
find
it.
that tends to take a bit of time in this game is the loading of into lobbies. That loading screen, I get quite acquainted with it. Start to read the fine print at the bottom there.
Well, I communicated to the guys they needed to cancel, but they have not.
And if you leave the lobby, then
I leave the lobby.
suppose
I
it
think the game will
continues.
continue based on
Yes,
what happened
and they wouldn't
yesterday.
even know that we would have left.
Exactly,
So
this is the problem.
we need to get hold of them somehow. I'm just trying to think how right now. Maybe I should try and phone somebody. Apologies about this guys. I wish I had more control over the situation right now. I don't like being so out of control. Just give us 1 second, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna phone Mark. I'll be right back.
Cool. So the guys have actually cancelled. That's great. We'll get going on restarting it for you guys. Do apologize for that.
Okay, cool. As I just finished a call with Mark, they have left the lobby. Apparently, all's well.
Cool. Yeah, I managed to get them in game as well with chat, so they did
Okay.
actually see it eventually. For some reason, they didn't see it as they were loading in, but they did
It's-
stop. So good. We can actually get a full game. Yeah.
I need an invite now.
I don't know. I don't know if you're worthy after that.
Give me one more chance, please. I promise you. Won't do it again.
Cool. You got your invite. We'll be ready to
Yay.
go. What's crazy is I've costed international CS:GO to a few thousand people, and for some reason, I feel more pressured in Quake than in CS to a large number of people. It's
Yeah.
the community is so passionate and they know the game so well. I feel like I know nothing, man.
Yeah, you just want to do it justice, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I feel like I'm in that same boat as you, especially considering that we're kind of held to a fairly high standard. Um, it's one of those things that we need to maintain regardless of which game we're doing. Both players are ready, so I'm not going to press any buttons besides my push to talk, and hopefully the same thing does not occur. I do need 25,000 favor, Mike, and then I can buy a new champion. So,
You should just get the champions pack, bro. It's worth it.
is there any sponsors out there looking to drop 500 rand for that
Yeah,
champions pack?
cost of life is hard, guys. You don't realize.
Yeah, this is it is difficult. Lots of passion behind it, of course, but same must be said about playing, I suppose. Not really like there's much more incentive on that end.
Hey, he gets a laptop if he wins. Just saying.
Yes,
I
one
don't get a
person
laptop. Do you get a
out
laptop?
of- I don't get a laptop. I have a laptop, and not if I win though. So we are going to be going into the draft now. Fortunately, I have made the transition across. Interested to see what sort of champions these guys are bringing to the tables. I've seen more variation in this rAge Champions qualifier than I have in the 2 lands that I've casted in the past, so that's always a nice sign. Always good to see different champions. Can get a little bit, I don't want to say boring, because Quake is never ever boring, but it's just nice to see some different things being brought to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. It did feel like at the MSI Quake Champions Cup at Rush that it was very standard. We were just seeing pretty much the same 3 every
Visor,
game.
Ranger, and BJ. That's pretty
Yeah.
much as... and maybe if we got a little bit extravagant, the Nyx came out, but that wasn't really too far out there. We do have the Nyx on both players in this game, I think, so that's going to get interesting.
Round begins in 3, 2.
So, without further ado, guys, apologies about the technical difficulties. This is the rAge Champions, brought to you by MSI, Evetech, and Tech, Corsair, and Western Digital. And we are straight into this one. ScaRy2K is going to get caught off guard. He utilizes his Nyx invisibility, and he's going to be able to get away from Void for the time being until Void actually just keeps him trapped in. So it's a false sense of security coming out from Void, but he needs to be careful that he's actually getting brought down fairly low himself. That rocket only needs to do 19 damage, and that's the first kill of the game.
Gary had him on the ropes there a little bit as well, and he does have him on the ropes right now as well. Can he get out of here? Manages to just escape and get himself that mega.
Yeah, that mega, very helpful for his cause. He's going to be able to get the heavy as well, and you feel like ScaRy2K's given up too much control on these power-ups already. Once you are the underdog and your opponent has got control of those power-ups, it just makes matters next to impossible.
There's the LG coming out doing a fair bit of damage. ScaRy in some trouble here, and if he catches the rocket, he's going down, and he is buried. Void's got him there, and Void keeping control of the items as well, so in firm control of the first round, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get onto the heavy as well. Nice railgun shot there, forces ScaRy off the angle. That's going to allow Void a heavy should he choose to pick it up, and interestingly enough, just delaying it somewhat. Maybe trying to increase the gap between that heavy and the mega spawn. He needs to be careful that he doesn't... What? He was pretty much standing on the edge of the map there. I thought at one stage he thinks he was wrung out, but he actually was alive. Okay, wow, I'm quite surprised. I thought that was going to be the end of him.
He's super aggressive at the moment, keeps pushing forward and trying his luck a little bit. Oh, his luck might be holding here, lands a nice rail, but gets one in return for his troubles.
He did catch that. Nice use of the Dire Orb, closing the gap onto that heavy. Void is just keeping himself a little bit more strongly stacked. Strongly stacked? No, stronger stacked. He has
We'll go
a
with
stronger
strongly
stacked. Sometimes English words just don't come together for me. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but
I
I'm going to blame the
blame the
language.
swine flu.
Yeah, it could be that. I mean, I don't know.
Every time you make a mistake, bro,
Yeah,
just
why
go swine
not?
flu.
It's not my fault, actually.
Oh, that was a nice little ledge that he was standing on there. Completely caught ScaRy off guard, and then the return rail as he dropped down. That was very nicely done.
Nice combos coming out here from Void, showing a good utilization of that rocket launcher, LG, and railgun. Of course, they are the 3 most prolific weapons in the game.
Round 2, fight.
We do go into the second round here. Void picking up that first one, Nyx on Nyx this time. So Void changing up from the Ranger as his first champion, now uses Nyx.
I enjoyed his use of the Dire Orb there. He was very good at using it to cut off his opponent. So ScaRy caught off guard a number of times by that. And now we're going to see Ghost Walk on Ghost Walk. Let's see who can walk the walk, shall we say?
Yeah. Who's going to walk away talking the talk? As for anyone who's not familiar, nice railgun shot there from Void. For anybody who's not familiar, if both players do use their next inhibitors, they can actually see each other. So it completely negates the effect. And it looks like ScaRy.
Oh,
wow!
Lord.
Void even paused for a second after that. He's just like, did that just happen? Was that a 100 damage rocket? Did I just get the kill?
6 out the cheeky tongue there in chat as well, so he's aware of. Oh, he gets knocked off the side.
What was he doing there? He was dancing with that idea by just hanging around that area. Not sure. Was that a mercy kill?
I don't know, but caught off guard again there, not up close with the rocket launcher. He's suffering.
Yeah,
as is his opponent. How's he living? Geez, that took a little bit long from ScaRy to put him down.
It did take a bit long, but Void just committing to the fight with the starting shotgun. Very interesting tactics coming out here. Actually giving his position away with the gauntlet, trying to set up here, and actually this is a decent setup from the map. He needs to be careful of that LG coming through. Oh my god, Void nearly goes down. He needs to be careful that he doesn't give too much leeway here to ScaRy, and he needs to pay his respect, otherwise he's going to get caught out. You can see ScaRy, he gets that mega. Void going to use the dual wheel to back himself out through the banana area, and he picks up the 2 light health bubbles to boot as well.
That was getting rather scary for both parties, ScaRy and Void included, and of course both got 2 champions down, so this is round point, shall we say, not map point. What am I saying? Yeah,
still round points at this stage. You see that rocket from Void, really good prediction from him, identifying where ScaRy was going to appear. And amongst all the shenanigans, Void still comes out on top.
Yeah, he's had total control so far. He hasn't been troubled too much just yet, but
round begins.
This is his pick. You never know. Maybe something can come out in the second one, and we still got another round to go here. ScaRy has landed some nice shots. He's just not quite managed to combine them as artfully as we've seen out of Void.
Yes, exactly that. And have a look at this aggressive strategy from Void. He didn't even go for the heavy. He's gone straight for the kill. He's going to get some damage down with the orb. He needs to be careful though, because he isn't too healthy himself. That Nix invisibility, good use from ScaRy. Actually does catch Void off guard, but not able to capitalize. Void now might double around for the heavy. He knows it's there, but is certainly foregoing it at this point. Does he want to try and win this game without using power-ups? Oh, what a rocket! Absolutely perfect timing.
He is absolutely intent on taking these fights, and now he's suffering a little bit. 30 health on Void. He might be about to enter the void of the afterlife if he's not careful.
Yeah, they nearly ran into one another there. Fortunately for ScaRy2K, he was able to avoid that. Void just picking up some light armor and health bubbles at this point. ScaRy2K doesn't even have an idea that the heavy is sitting there for the whole minute. It's just been sitting waiting. Void is still not going to pick it up. Oh man. That really sucks when you're losing a 1v1 and your opponent's not even picking up the mega and the heavy at his disposal.
Oh, he's toying with him at the moment, that's for sure.
Yeah, you won't be seeing Void do this against Chase or Phantom, guys, that's for sure. This is not his tactic for reason of quality. Actually catching ScaRy2K off with some rockets there as well. ScaRy2K just really struggling to keep track of Void as he moves himself around the map.
Oh.
That
is not something
there?
you want to do. Just don't bracket yourself in there by jumping off those jump pads against the railgun.
Not only that, but doing it a few times consecutively, it's going to be the same result time and time again. That can be guaranteed. So that dual wield coming out through for ScaRy unfortunately wasn't the best opportunity because Void had that cover to work with, and he does get ScaRy quite low down here. That mega up for grabs. I mean, at this stage, it's just being used as bait. Or Void wants it. He wants the gauntlet kill. He's going to use the orb to get up close, and that's going to be enough. He gets the kill, even though his suicides doesn't make any difference. And that is the first map going to Void.
The full no respect style coming out there in the final round out of Void. It was a little closer in the first, but by the time we got to the third, he was just having fun with it.
Yeah, it went from serious play in the first round to just toying with this food a little bit in the second to absolutely not giving any of them interesting Fs.
That was diplomatic. I like it.
Yeah, look at the rocket accuracy. Actually, 42% from ScaRy. That's fairly decent. Matching the damage there from Void, both of them doing just above 1,000. So he kept up in that department, but that was pretty much all he could.
Yeah, the rails and the LG were far superior out of Void, so in the end, no real contest on that one, unfortunately. But we will be going to another map. I think it's Blood Covenant, right?
Yes, Blood Covenant, my favorite map. I think that this is, of course, not I think, I know that this is one of the legendary maps of Quake, going back a very long time. If you want to be good at the game, it's certainly going to be a map that you need to have some sort of a skill level on.
Oh, cheeky comment, yeah. Void says to ScaRy, don't forget to grab the megas and heavies.
Yeah.
Smiley face. Oh.
I feel like he's not too unfair in that suggestion.
Well, off we go. It is the second map, Blood Covenant. This is the MSI Quake Champions qualifier for Rage, and Rage is coming up next week, so do get yourselves tickets to be in the crowd there. It's going to be a very cool setup. Of course, it was really awesome at Rush. Definitely the biggest Quake event we've had so far, and I imagine it's going to be even more awesome. I've seen some of the designs for the stage, and I believe it will be beautiful.
I wouldn't be surprised if Rage surpassed Rush as the biggest Quake event in South Africa to date.
Yeah,
of
and
course,
what's
just
interesting
more
about
resources to work with and more experience from the guys who are hosting it now.
absolutely, I think we'll have less in the way of issues with the game as well. The game client is definitely more stable in the last few months.
Yes.
That said, how many crashes have I had in the last couple of broadcasts?
Yeah, certainly not a testament to what we're saying, but I'm sure that we will have things a little bit more refined. So let's see, Void Anarchy as his first pick. This is great. He's not going with the standard picks in the second map. He's going to give us something a little bit more entertaining. ScaRy second. Oh man, no one enjoys watching ScaRy. I just went from one extreme to the other, one axtreme to the other.
Oh, jeez.
Oh jeez.
Please,
Has anyone
bro.
done that to you before?
So many times.
Oh, I thought I was a bit original.
I feel like that's a little bit of a meme pick out of Void there.
Yeah, he went with Sorlag, ScaRy, and Anarchy.
Well, he's going to make it hard for himself, I guess. But for ScaRy, he's getting valuable experience here against a higher level player. And of course, he'll be able to come back stronger in future competitions. MSI very much behind Quake in South Africa, so we're likely to see more out of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, players like ScaRy will get plenty more opportunities.
It's one of those things about being a newer player in a game that's been around for so long. Of course, I'm referring to Quake series, where these guys are just going to be incredibly experienced. Been playing the game for years and years, so it's not going to be easy to bridge that gap, and it is going to take time. So, as you said, it's about the persistence. Jumping straight into the second map here. I'm on ScaRy 2K's perspective. I want to see how he actually, you know what? Just for Void's Anarchy, I want to see some slick movement. I want to watch him for a little bit, and he disappoints me already.
Immediately.
He's actually taking a lot of damage from these rocket jumps as well. Needs to be careful. He's getting himself in good position, but oh my word! Okay, Void, you just showed me up so hard.
Man,
That
certainly
100
does
damage
have
rocket.
the slick skills, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's landed a couple of those tonight, and it's not an easy thing to do because he's been actually landing the direct rockets by predicting the movement coming out from ScaRy. He's going to use the MG here. Oh no, Void, not like this. At least close off your kills, man. You've got to finish off your kill. Can't play with your food. Not if you're going to eat it. Wow,
Again,
this is why
we're
I'm
going
watching it.
the mega there, deciding he just wants to fight. That's all he's here for.
Yeah, I feel like this is a map he might get punished on more though. ScaRy does get that mega, and he's actually well poised to potentially get a kill here. Void closing that gap with the rocket launcher. Trying to use the tri-bolt here, but nothing really too effective. Oh, rail forcing him far back. Both players looking pretty low. Both of them could go down here.
Looking to make his escape now, so I think suddenly got a little bit more serious there, got himself into trouble.
Yeah, he's just
But doesn't take
greasing
the...
outbuild.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't take the heavy, interestingly enough. He's also pumping these injections, which means he gets increased maximum HP by 1 each time he does utilize that ability. So it doesn't seem significant, but once you've got it off 8 or 10 times, that HP difference is going to be quite significant.
Certainly can
Oh,
help you out, and
wow.
I think he's predicted his path perfectly and misses the rocket, but nonetheless will land the follow-up rail, and now ScaRy, well, he's in a fairly scary position. Yeah, the rocket jump comes out and he just misses sight of him.
Yeah, ScaRy 2K actually doing a good job to avoid Void, but Void's still going to be able to pick up that light health and armor, keep himself alive and kicking, still pumping those injections as well. By his law, Anarchy's actually a heroin addict, so maybe that's something that has to do with the injections.
Quite the juicer, isn't he? But Void's still toying with his food a little bit here. ScaRy still, he's holding his own, at least. The engagements they've had haven't actually been that much tilted towards Void as what we saw in the previous map, but again he's going with Anarchy, which is a little bit of an off-pick at the moment.
I've jumped over to ScaRy 2K's perspective if you'd like to join me there. Give him some limelight, see exactly how he deals with the situation. If he gets a kill here, he'll actually be in a fairly decent position considering that there's only a minute and 50 seconds left on the clock. Of course, whoever has the most champions remaining by the time the round ends will win the round. If both players have the same amount of champions, then we head into sudden death, in which the person to find the first kill wins the round.
Yeah, that'll be the case. So ScaRy's still in with a shot. Maybe he can land a few shots here and rock Void back on his heels. You never know. Things can turn, but taking a fair bit of damage. Still in fairly good health, one would say.
Yeah, he's looking decent. You feel like Void is just gifting him this space. He hasn't been closing in on his opportunities whatsoever. Oh, ScaRy actually gets launched into oblivion there. He nearly got forced into the ring line. He thought he was dead, Mike. He's actually still alive and kicking. He nearly comes back to get the kill. Void with his tail between his legs is going to make it away. That Mega just spawning up now, but with a minute left on the clock, ScaRy could actually get himself into a winnable position. He lands the flick rail, and that means Void is now going to be onto Sorlag. So, forced into a bit of an unfamiliar territory here for Void.
And we've also got the Ghost Walk and ScaRy as well available, so there is the possibility that he might be able to escape.
Does pop the Ghost Walk, and he's going to go through the portal, which would have given the sound cue to Void, who has to absolutely chase him down here. Only 20 seconds left on the clock. You can see that ScaRy is playing the time. He's going to have to play the damage here as well. Void has got him locked down, and Heavy going to come through absolutely critically for
This is
ScaRy. Wow, Void.
He might have this.
Oh, the suicide! Shooting the rocket straight into the pillar.
That was so close. 5 seconds to go, and unfortunately in his defensive action takes himself down, so we will be going to sudden death here.
Yeah, this is it. Whoever gets the kill or the first kill is going to win this round. The dual wield railguns coming through for ScaRy. He's not connecting on any of them. There does come one eventually. Oh, the follow-up to Void as well. That means the first round is going to be going to ScaRy 2K.
Prepare to fight.
Okay, that may have backfired slightly for Void.
So when does he start to play his natural game style?
2, 1. Round 2. Fight.
So he's giving him a chance, giving him an opportunity to showcase himself. Yeah, we know it's not necessarily going to be an even fight, shall we say? But it's fairly sporting of him to give him a chance. Yeah, I mean, some might call it unsporting that he's sort of memeing him in a way, but not really. He's giving him space and allowing him time to play his game.
It's not like he's running around with a gauntlet, only using that, trying to win the game. He is somewhat playing a structurally sound game, certainly not to the best of his ability though.
And ScaRy doing well to showcase himself. Yeah, we definitely hope to see him back in future competitions, and correctly predicting that, but he might be about to.
That Nyx invis came in so clutch, perfect timing. Now catching Void off guard, he's going to be able to get the kill.
Well, look at that. He manages to catch him off again there. Dodges the incoming charge and then pops the Ghost Walk. Very nice from ScaRy.
Yeah, that was great. And I felt like Void actually didn't gift him anything in that situation. That was purely based on ScaRy's ability. And now, Void one champion down, one round down as well. Potentially got his back starting to lose a bit of space behind him. back up against the wall.
Shadows hide me.
Gonna utilize the invis. He does pass straight through Void. Might be able to escape here. No, not gonna be able to. Void with that with the LG rather, locking it down, finishing off with the rocket launcher, and that is a little bit more what we're familiar seeing.
Yeah, that's more Void, and Void is right on top of him at the moment as well. Catches him there with the LG. The dual wield will come out, but no opportunities being afforded by Void. He avoids him quite effectively. Jeez, that word got really confusing for a second.
Yeah, it does, because you also start to realize what you're saying and you understand exactly the play on words you made, and it just gets confusing a couple of fires across, and life's tough, man. These rockets, there's a lot of position you want to be in. It's scary. He only has the MG to work with. You could see him using that scroll to try and toggle his weapons, ending up on the gauntlet. Just not a weapon that was going to help his cause. Void looks like he actually might want to close out this round right here, right now.
Picked him in with the tri-bolts, and he actually gets the kill.
That was massive damage that came out from the tri-bolts. I feel like all three of them actually might have done maximum damage, which results in 135 damage if I'm not mistaken. 45 a pop.
Yeah, they are very dangerous up close if you walk into them. Of course, they do have some form of bullet drop, but it's not going to matter. Somebody's going to get dropped here, and it's most definitely not going to be Void.
Yeah, a little bit more of his characteristic self there in that second round. Certainly not passing up any major opportunities.
Round begins in 3.
So again, I got to give Void some props here for allowing ScaRy to play a little bit and to take some fights. And ScaRy has landed some nice moments, some nice shots. So
yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, imagine like a ScaRy against CyBeRmAn type of fight, or one of those players who's on the lesser end of the skill bracket, but still able to compete. I think he may have stood a chance at potentially qualifying.
Oh, he's going to get caught here close up. And that's a very nice rail. Again, I must say in these close engagements, he's been pretty good at landing rails under pressure, and that's a hallmark of some decent aim.
Completely agree with you. It is quite a decent sign that somebody has got the mechanics down. Not easy to land those railgun shots up close. He's going to be jumping straight underneath Void here. And those rockets, I think Void may have actually been looking at him before he fired his first shot. Oh, the dual wield coming through there. I feel like ScaRy 2K has been popping his dual wield a little bit out of queue. He's going to get rocketed down there as well. Sometimes what does happen is you're used to the champion's ability that you just played with. So you push F hoping that you might get a Nyx invisibility or a Ranger Dire Orb, maybe a Galena Totem, and you pull out dual wield, and that just doesn't help your stack situation whatsoever.
That's just you and me, because we're total potatoes.
Oh, is that just you and me? Oh, is that not something that happens in Quake? No, my bad.
I wouldn't think with the higher level players, certainly not, but
suppose I can only really speak from my experience.
I'll fight you after this, bro.
Hey, I got some coaching to do, man. I'm sorry. Tonight can't be the night.
Oh, geez, the ultimate showdown is coming, guys.
At the end of round 2, heading into Rage, we could do like a casters show match and get Phantom and Chase to cast or something like that. No, actually, I don't want to be scrutinized by then.
It probably will look like two legless dwarfs having a crutch fight, basically. So I'm not so sure we should do that.
Yeah, not so easy on the high. Void, nice movement from him. Catches ScaRy off guard. ScaRy does go for the invisibility. He is tracking Void while he's catching rockets at the same time, and that's going to lead to his demise. Round number 3 being picked up with ease by Void.
Prepare to fight.
So that puts us on match point.
Round begins in 3, 2.
Does indeed. So it all comes down to this, and Void firmly in control. ScaRy's gotten his licks in. Let's see if he can get any more in here, but relentless pressure early on, and then deciding to give him some space all of a sudden, Void.
Yeah, not having too many weapons up his arsenal yet just to work with, so probably going for the safer option. Some nice movement here from ScaRy, nearly catches Void off guard. It's going to allow Void to actually... Whoa! Good evening, ScaRy 2K. How's that shotgun damage?
That was a rather super shotgun.
Yeah, that did a lot of damage. I think its maximum damage output is 110. And Void looking to follow up here, but he needs to be careful. He's actually reeling in the end of it. Barely any health to work with. Going to make his way around to the Mega. He is going to get there first. Oh, ScaRy 2K, absolutely no idea of Void's positioning. He's just seeing rails flying past him.
Always disconcerting as a player when you can't get a beat on where your opponent's going, and Void the whole time does have a very good idea of where ScaRy is. And that's of course something that's going to come for it with experience for ScaRy as well. Void got all the experience in the world on his side, so definitely got that to fall back on, and ScaRy's busy gaining it as we watch.
Yes, this is how experience is gained. Void not going for that mega, interestingly enough. Nice rail there from ScaRy, although it was exchanged 1-for-1. Needs to be careful of the rockets here, starting to enter his vicinity. I like to see that he's improved his totem placements, just being a little bit more clinical and sneaky with the approach, not just planting it as it comes off cooldown in his pathway.
Yeah, we certainly saw a masterclass in totem placement out of Static earlier on, so definitely if you want to learn how you should place them, where to put them, and when to use them, that's the guy to watch.
It really boils down to how you want to use them. If you want to use them to get a health network up and have a couple of megas, or you want to try and use it aggressively to maybe deal some damage to your opponent or give yourself a quick health boost. Either way. And
In trouble now.
yeah, he's in some trouble indeed. Going to be able to make it to safety for now. Void hasn't
run
had
into each other.
much success on this Anarchy pick, if you've noticed. It's been one of the champions he's been moving well with, but not finding the kills with. And ScaRy actually getting a decent damage with the LG. Look at how fast Void is, and you can see ScaRy struggling to keep track of him.
Well, just a rail away from death, but ScaRy's lost him for now.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to get the mega as well. So although Void lands that rail shot, it's not going to be enough. He gets a second, but still, he's so low himself. And ScaRy does grab a frag to keep himself in this. Of course, this is match point for Void. Oh, going to use the ScaRy charge. Unfortunately, it's not easy to take corners with that ability up.
Definitely not. You often end up motorboating against the corner, so not going to work for him in that particular instance. ScaRy lives to fight another day. Both got one champion down. Of course, Void the more favored player, and he should be getting this. He's giving ScaRy a bit of space. Yeah,
he's giving ScaRy some space and respect, but that mega up for grabs. Void doesn't even go for the mega, continuing as per his norm in this game, foregoing any advantages and making it as difficult for himself as possible. Not something that you would expect a player to do, but there is context behind this.
He wants to pay him in exposure bucks, man. He's getting some screen time, you know?
Yeah, and that's also why I'm hanging around on ScaRy 2K's perspective. We're going to be seeing a lot more of Void going forward. And he suicided.
Okay.
Okay, really taking this one down to the wire here. It is going to be saw lag now for Void. That Nyx has come in clutch for ScaRy as well. He's been quite efficient with that invisibility. Gets caught off guard from behind there. Wasn't expecting Void to come out in that area of the map. The heavy is going to pop, so up for grabs.
ScaRy's expecting to eat a rocket as soon as he tries to pick it up, but Void's going to give him the space to get it.
He's 1 kill away at this point, and with only 25 seconds left on the clock, it looks like we're more than likely going to be heading into a sudden death.
Where am I?
Ooh, actually using the invis there. Void not entirely sure, of course, where ScaRy is going. They're going to end up right on top of each other, and this might be the GG right here. Void going to be able to end it off with the gauntlet. That acid spray was getting a couple of ticks of damage down as well, and ScaRy 2K just not able to orientate himself, unfortunately. So, we have our 5th rAge finalist, Extremes. We are compiling that list to the point where there are now only 3 spots remaining.
Yep, that list rapidly coming together. So another name added to the pantheon of the 8 champions of Quake that are going to be facing off to be the ultimate Quake Champions champion. Yes. I used champion 3 times in one sentence. I'm proud of myself.
Nah, you should be. There was a valid use of it in each instance as well. So that is going to conclude our games for the evening. I'm just trying to think about what we have going forward. We've got Goat against Manimal on Sunday. That is going to be probably the best game of the round, Extremes. I'm really looking forward to that one. It means that we're going to have a fairly unfamiliar face qualifying for the LAN event as well, which is always nice.
I'm very familiar with Manimal's face, of course, being a team owner.
Yes.
Met him many times at CSGO events and
Allow me
commiserated him
to-
on his team being knocked out, you know?
Allow me to be a little bit more specific. What I'm referring to as a player. See his face time and time again, pretty much every event I go to, but not behind the computer screen.
Well, are we going to be commiserating again on a loss this time around? Well, I guess we'll find out.
Nah, I think we're gonna have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I'm just being a bit facetious here. You
There's
know,
a
'cause
lot of banter going on between him and Goat, so it is going to be a really interesting game. Who's going to be able to close that one out? I'm not sure. I think it is a pretty much a 50-50 affair. Chase did give Goat the edge, but he did hint that there was some bias behind that decision, so can't take it entirely. Guys,
I can't-
yes, Mike, what did you want to say?
I was going to finish your sentence because you ran out of words, but it's okay. It's all good. I
Um,
think we're good. We're done for tonight. And
yeah.
We do appreciate you guys joining us. It's been sponsored by MSI, Evetech, Corsair, and Tech. And that is it, right? Did I get all the
No,
sponsors?
You missed one. Digital,
Western Digital. I
Western
keep
Digital,
forgetting
yeah.
Western Digital. I'm sorry, guys.
We'll forgive you. You're just gonna have to double up on the next stream.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, guys. It's been a good one. Pretty close first game, although it wasn't close on the scoreboard. There were some nice licks got in by both players between Static and CyBeRmAn. Static took it in the end, and Void toying with his food versus ScaRy,
Yeah.
but being a real good sport about it and giving him some chances. So very nice to see out of Void.
Yeah, and it was appreciated from our side because we did see ScaRy actually coming to the table, landing some nice rail shots, and actually taking advantage of the extra spotlight time. Oh, that's quite
Is your team
loud.
winning?
I think they won a round. I think it can be confirmed. Anyway, guys, before we get horrible feedback, I'm going to jump to some music from myself and Extremes. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to follow us on social media. I'm @HazeCSGO with the 3 for the E. Extremes, what's your Twitter handle?
It's just at Extremes. Easy.
Man, that's so nice. That's the beauty of having a name which is fairly uncommon. You just got all the
Pick a
social
better
media,
name,
man.
Hayes. It's not too late.
It's too late, Mike. It's definitely too late. Guys, once again, thank you so much. Enjoy the shitty NCS music. We'll be back again soon.
Cheers.
things change.